All across the world, young people are rising, not just in protest, but in a global eruption demanding change. In Morocco, banners wave for jobs, justice, and a future. Unemployment, corruption, climate change, these are the sparks. Are you ready to feel the energy? Stay with us and see why this youth movement is unstoppable. October 3rd, 2025, Rabat, Morocco. The world holds its breath as young voices ignite a wave of change, fed up with broken promises, rising costs, and leaders who look away. This is bigger than any one city. From North Africa to Asia, the streets are alive with hope, anger, and unity. Young people demand action on jobs, climate, and corruption, refusing to accept the status quo. Forget what you thought you knew. This is activism redefined. Phones in the air, creative signs, electric energy. The future is being written by youth who refuse to be silent about injustice, unemployment, and a planet in crisis. The air pulses with chance, smoke, and the thrill of possibility. Can you feel the heartbeat of a generation demanding more? Demanding jobs, dignity, and a voice in their own future? Have you seen a protest in your city? Drop your city in the comments. Let's show the world we're everywhere, united by the same struggles and hopes. This is not your parents' protest. This is raw, real, and unstoppable. The Youthquake is here, fueled by frustration, hope, and the refusal to accept a broken system, and it's just getting started. Tens of thousands fill the streets, faces glowing from phone screens, voices echoing across continents. Social media turns every shout into a global roar, amplifying demands for climate action, jobs, and justice. These young people aren't just angry, they're organized, connected, and done waiting for change. They're building networks, sharing strategies, and demanding a seat at the table. Like and subscribe to Smarta Brains for more engaging deep dives into breaking news, politics, sociology, economics, and social policy. The official story? Just a small riot over a youth employment tax. But that's only the beginning. Something much bigger is unfolding. A generation rising against corruption, inequality, and broken promises. Up next, how a single viral video in Nepal lit the fuse for a revolution. Don't go anywhere. This is just the beginning of a global youth uprising. Just as the world's attention was fixed on North Africa, the tremors of the Youthquake reached the roof of the world. In Nepal, frustration had been building for years. Unemployment, corruption, and broken promises. Kathmandu, Nepal, a city where hope and anger collide. But the pressure wasn't geological, it was generational. Young people faced a future with few jobs, rising costs, and leaders who seemed not to care. Young Nepalis grew up in the shadow of a civil war and the aftermath of a devastating earthquake. But now, their biggest battle was for a future worth staying for. The spark here wasn't a tax, it was a video. But the fuel was years of government inaction and broken dreams. A viral clip showing the son of a high-ranking politician racing a luxury sports car through a humanitarian aid convoy. The sheer arrogance, the disconnect. For many, it was a gut punch, proof that the powerful played by different rules. The hashtag empty throne exploded on social media. A political class living like royalty while the country crumbled. The youth had had enough.
I spoke with Ankit, a 24-year-old engineering student who helped organize the silent march to the Singha Durbar. We are the remittance generation. Our fathers and brothers send money home from Qatar and Malaysia. That money builds the fancy malls and apartments for the politicians' families. We paid for that car.
The silence of their march was a powerful statement. Students laying down in the streets, holding mirrors to the riot police with signs that read, "You are one of us." Faces full of hope, anger, and determination. A quiet, dignified, and profoundly angry revolution demanding jobs, justice, and a future. Next stop, the sprawling archipelago of Indonesia, home to 280 million people and a generation demanding a future. Here, the youth are restless, frustrated by rising inequality, environmental destruction, and a government that seems to listen more to corporations than to its own people. In Jakarta, a city famous for its endless traffic, the streets were gridlocked for a new reason. Waves of students, activists, and young professionals flooding the capital with their demands for justice. Their signs called for fair wages, climate action, and an end to policies that put profits over people. The capital was brought to a standstill by the sheer force of their unity. The trigger? The Omnibus Bill 2.0, a sweeping legislative package that threatened to roll back hard-won protections. Sold as cutting red tape and attracting investment, the bill promised growth. But at what cost? The youth saw through the promises. They read the fine print. It was a Trojan horse, weakening labor rights, easing rainforest clearing, and criminalizing dissent. Rolling back environmental protections, suppressing unions, and silencing criticism. These were the real stakes. A K-pop organizer, Acha, told me, "They think we just care about boy bands and skincare. But we know how to organize online. We can trend a hashtag in minutes, mobilize thousands, and make our voices impossible to ignore." They shared infographics, tracked police, crowdfunded bail, and outmaneuvered internet blocks with VPNs. Digital activism became their superpower. Memes became weapons. TikTok taught legal rights. Comedy roasted power and spread the message faster than any speech. Old power couldn't comprehend it, let alone defeat it. The youth had rewritten the rules of protest for a digital age. From Indonesia, we crossed the sea to the Philippines, a nation shaped by people power. But this time, the youth are fighting on many fronts. For truth, for jobs, for their very democracy. This movement wasn't about one leader. It was a tidal wave against disinformation, historical revisionism, and a system that left millions of young Filipinos jobless. History majors, journalism students, and young librarians led the charge, determined to defend the facts. The final straw? Textbooks rewritten to paint a dictatorship as a golden age, erasing the pain of the past. The youth refused to let history be rewritten. They called their movement Facts First, a rebellion against troll farms, fake news, and weaponized lies. Their goal, defend democracy with the power of truth. They set up truth tents, displayed archival evidence, and handed out fact-checked pamphlets, arming their communities with knowledge. Miguel 20 built an app that fact-checks politicians in real time. We grew up in the post-truth era. We must fight the algorithm with a better algorithm. They organized volunteers to sit with elders, gently debunking lies, bridging generations in the fight for justice. It was slow, painstaking, revolutionary work, built on patience, empathy, and hope. Against a digital typhoon, they stood firm, committed to facts, to justice, and to a future they could trust. Madagascar, off southeastern Africa, a land of breathtaking biodiversity, but also crushing poverty, drought, and government neglect. Here, the youth have had enough. Their uprising is born from dust, hunger, and the daily struggle to survive. Famine and poverty are everywhere, but so is their determination. In the south, climate change has triggered a devastating famine. Years of relentless drought have turned once fertile farms into barren desert. While rural families go hungry, government money flows to prestige projects. A new coliseum, luxury buildings, while basic needs are ignored. Rural youth, forced from ancestral lands by drought and foreign companies, join students whose futures are drying up. Their voices unite in protest. Their demands are simple and profound: water, work, justice, the right to survive in their own homeland. Elders remember the rains and green fields, but for this generation, dust and struggle are all they've known. Still, they refuse to give up hope. Treaties are signed in distant hotels, but foreign companies take Madagascar's trees, fish, and future. The youth demand climate justice and an end to exploitation. They blockade ports, occupy corporate offices, and demand that water and resources serve the people, not just the powerful. For Madagascar's youth, climate change is not a distant threat. It's a catastrophe happening now. Their fight is for survival, dignity, and a future. The common thread: why now? Why them? 5 countries, 5 sparks. If you look closer, it's the same fire. Let's connect the dots. What links a designer in Rabat to a student in Kathmandu? A K-pop fan in Jakarta to a farmer in Madagascar? A shared story of generational betrayal. First, economics, the big scam. Study hard, get a degree, play by the rules, yet face inequality, gig work, and debt. The most educated generation and the most underemployed. The social contract feels like a lie. Second, the climate cliff, an existential threat set in motion before they were born. Corruption that fells rainforests is the same that shields fossil fuels. Finally, the information revolution, the world's injustices in their pocket, and solidarity at their fingertips. They know they're not alone, and that gives them power. None of this would be happening at this scale, with this speed, without the internet. For Gen Z, the line between online and offline is non-existent. Organizing a protest is as natural as starting a group chat. A moment of injustice gets posted. A clever hashtag becomes a rallying flag and library of dissent. In Indonesia, Tolak Omnibus Law. In Nepal, Empty Throne. Memes distill complex ideas. One meme can discredit a politician more than 1,000 articles. The state watches, blocks sites, throttles speeds, deploys troll armies. Digital natives counter with VPNs and encrypted apps. They mass report disinfo and drown propaganda with truth. A technique in Jakarta is adopted in Rabat hours later. Legal toolkits translate across borders. An open-source revolutionary toolkit. The establishment isn't sitting back. The powerful don't give up power easily. A chillingly familiar suppression playbook: dismiss, discredit, disperse. Act 1, dismiss. Infantilize the movement as unserious. Act 2, discredit. Plant stories, call them anarchists, thugs, or terrorists. Seed division, isolate protesters from society. Act 3, disperse. The iron fist, tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, even live fire. Night arrests of organizers. Internet shutoffs to plunge cities into information blackouts. Inflict enough pain and fear to break the protest and make an example. It's the oldest trick in the authoritarian playbook. So where does this all leave us? As of today, October 3rd, 2025, the streets are still full. The hashtags still trend. The world holds its breath. Will violence and suppression succeed, or will creativity, resilience, and solidarity force a breakthrough? We don't know yet. But the world has fundamentally changed. The old order is on notice. The kids are not all right, and they're not going away. They're the planet's immune system reacting to corruption, inequality, and climate collapse. They're demanding what every generation was promised: a fair chance, a clean planet, a government that listens, a future. Rabat gives Manila courage. Jakarta inspires Kathmandu. They're sharing more than strategies. They're sharing strength. This is a single planetary uprising to be heirs to a better world, not victims of this one. To leaders and pundits who dismiss them, listen, really listen. Look at their faces, read their signs. Like and subscribe to Smarter Brains for more engaging deep dives into breaking news, politics, sociology, economics, and social policy.